before we move on to create our config.php, let's first include this file inside of the autoload.php. So require once, and we will be requiring once config.php. Only config.php without any folder before this, because config.php will be inside of our inc folder as well. So let's create this new file, call it config.php. And inside of the config.php, we start with the opening PHP tag. The first thing, because the entire application will be using sessions, let's first check if isn't set session, which means if session variables haven't been set yet, session start. Okay, so that's the first thing. It should always be right at the top of, above all the coding and everything. So that's why it has to be in this position. Next thing, we will define a few constants. The first one will be site URL. Actually, it's not going to be a URL, site domain name with HTTP. Ouch. Okay, so defined. First, we check whether it's been defined, and we call it site URL. Remember to use capital letters. Or define site URL, and we start with HTTP colon / double quote, and now we type server, and within the single quotes server name. Okay, after this closing square bracket. Now what it does, basically checks if it's defined, do nothing, otherwise define this constant. Now we copy this entire thing, paste it a new line. Now before we move forward, let's just explain what's happened here. Site URL will be the constant which we'll be using, and we will have access to this constant from anywhere within the application, because it's in a file which is always going to be included on every single page. So this site URL constant will have a value http colon / and then the server name predefined PHP variable. This predefined variable basically returns something like this. If, let's say, we have website www.http colon / www.google.com, then what server name returns is basically www.google.com, even if it has any / any other elements of the path, let's say orders or whatever else. This strips all these elements and it only returns the domain name. It has www, then it's gonna include this. If it hasn't, it will simply be the domain name. So basically, this way dynamically we recognize what's the current site domain name, and we assign this to our site URL rather than putting actually this here statically. It's automatically done by the script. So next constant will be ds. Let's put some comment here. Directory separator. And directory separator basically is depending on what kind of system you're using. If it's Windows, it's going to be /, because all the folders inside of the Windows system are separated by backslashes. You may remember C colon / and something. If it's Linux or Macintosh, it's going to be /. So again, we are dynamically recognizing what kind of separator is used for directory structure. And now this one will use the predefined constant directory separator. Again, this is PHP predefined constant, so we'll automatically recognize what directory separator is used on this system.